Tell your story. Flourish. Fly, you wounded butterfly. Nobody has a vision. Tell them what you've seen. Bloodshed at the age of 13. He sat next to me in history class. Who knew that this history I was living? Sharing air in this fog-infested city. I never been to Iraq, but I survived South Central. Mental capacity of dope dealers, killers, and abusers. Prostitution of the Constitution. Everybody getting fucked by the government. Not a pot to piss in, but brown bags filled with cheap beer and wine. It makes the time pass faster. The Sherm disaster evaporated the great blacks of the city. Now the grown folks sit on the radio and talk about how youngsters need to get out the dope game, but they playing the blame game. Come help, motherfucker. I lived there Cajun, censored.
Eyebrows.
Oh yeah, so I cut my eyebrows and my mom was upset and she was throwing all these slurs at me, calling me a dyke and asking me if I was a homosexual, and I didn't really know what that meant, and it was really like a confusing time. And I wish that I could have connected with so many like older folks who I feel like represented me, but I didn't have, the space to do that. So for me, queer people of color is anyone who has brown skin, who's not fitting in these binaries, because I don't know where they're from, so I can't be like, oh, this person is of this descent, because I don't know. I just know that they don't fit into the binary of being white, so it's those folks who don't fit into those boxes.
Cool. How has this project sort of what have you learned about your own gender expression doing this whole thing?
Wow, I've just learned that like my gender expression is fluid on a daily basis. I used to think like it's fluid based upon like the time of the month it is, right? Nah, like it's fluid based upon how I wake up in the morning and how I feel. I've also like learned that there's like we get to take back the language, and then we get to create language that helps us to express who we are, and like the power of that. I got that through the community, because before I was by myself and I didn't have the language and I didn't know where to get it from, and I didn't know if there was language. And then I got together with other boys and I sat down and had conversations, and I'm listening to them talk, and I'm like, man, that experience, wow, okay. Or wow, I didn't know that experience was like that. Or oh my goodness, really? And then I started getting language to help me to understand myself better, and then to help for me to understand them and their experience. So just we are learning that we are more alike than we are different. This experience has like really taught me that that F the binary, and F everything that's used to divide us, because we're all spirit. And so that's what this experience is like. That's what I've taken from this experience.
Yeah. Det har vi cool Nivea stuff. I love the Nivea lotion.
Ow! Ow! All right.
My name is Campbell X, and I am a writer, filmmaker, curator, and a social media strategist. I made the feature film Stud Life, which premiered at Fusion in Outfest in 2012. And I identify as masculine of center, genderqueer, and sometimes call myself fag daddy.
Fag daddy, that's sweet. Where does that come from?
I think I have a complicated relationship to masculinity. As a feminist, I want to challenge and subvert masculinity in lots of ways, like dominant masculinity. And so I will wear bright colors, be quite flamboyant, be quite feminine, quite camp really. So that's where the fag thing comes from. And the daddy thing comes from the kind of the other side that fights with the feminist subversion, which is the masculinity that I know that I feel, but I'm always constantly struggling with in terms of my politics, my strong feminist politics. So it's sort of like a marrying of the two, that I guess like a marriage with fighting.
When I played house with my friends, and we would play, because I had the ties and the hats and stuff, because I played in my garage, my dad's old stuff, I was always the daddy. I always did things, boys, that people would say, well, little girls shouldn't do that. But the thing is that my parents allowed me to shoot marbles. They allowed me I climbed on top of the garage and jumped off. And I would make go-karts and be in the streets. I rode mini bikes.
Watching generations deplete. There's just too much inequality in power. I don't mean to sound sour, but when's somebody gonna start giving a fuck? Funding being cut, extensions being unextended, life is full of pending transactions, but I'm putting this one into action. The bank won't be able to get credit for this shit. I took 1,000,000 words and I grinded them up in my fist. And then I let my pen flow. Because the one thing that they can't take from me is my story. I can tell it until my lips turn blue. So every time I spit, I renew.
I think in my work, I deal with gender as a whole. So in Stud Life, the two lead characters, Seb, who is a white gay man, he's more on the feminine side, and JJ, the stud, is more on the masculine side. So I put the masculine in a cisgendered female body and put the feminine in a cis male body to kind of complicate things. And then there's the femme, who is there as well. And so I play with gender a lot in my work, more than masculinity, but there's always some tension between the two. And the femme character, Elle, is a strong character, and I think very often we think that in order to be masculine we have to kill the feminine, and I think in order to be masculine we should revere the feminine and also acknowledge it and acknowledge their strength in femininity as well. It's just different types of strength.
Rejuvenated from the negativity that lives within me. Don't ask me where I've been. Wonder why I came back. Heart died, but I came right back. My soul is overbearing. Lyrical assassin, I might kill myself. I spit like a lyrical fiend. Words flowing through my bloodstream. Dope got me high. Hope had me choked.
I can't water down truth. If that's how it really is out there, I can't water it down for the sake of appeasing a certain set of people. Do we really want people to be themselves? Do we really want them to be honest? Because if we do, then we will allow them to do so. But if you want people to look a certain way so you can feel comfortable, then you're really killing off that person's life, just to save yourself or to make you feel more at ease about being around them.
My mother died. I put the knife to my own throat. Misery I soaked. I was all she wrote. Then it hit me. Tell your story. Flourish. Fly, you wounded butterfly.
For me, it's like, I have 3 other sisters, so it's 4 girls. And my 2 parents. And coming up, to be honest, I never wanted to be like my sisters. They were pretty. To me, that was a whole lot of work. I used to want to be a boy. My mother told me something when I was younger. Well, when I was older that I did. I used to have a habit of busting in the bathrooms, just not knocking. And she said I busted in on my father. I think I was like 4 years old. He just got the tub. And she said she heard a loud scream. I started crying. And she ran. My father was like, get her. And I said, what's wrong? She said, I want a ponytail like that. He's wild, have a ponytail like that. He said, that was a joke she used to tell me. I'm like, whoa.
New Orleans. Black in the middle of spring. Brass players congregating as we prepare for the second line. My gown covered in internal agony. What's next? Success? Failure? Endless possibilities. Love covering my skin. Sweat drenching from my locks. Grass beneath my feet, I walk in violation.
We say boy. B-O-I. Born, obviously incredible.
Yes.
Brooklyn has always been a part of me, and I've always been a part of Brooklyn. I haven't always lived there permanently, but I have been for the last 8 years, and it's definitely something that rings true to my heart, where I can just do what the heck I want to do and not feel a damn way about it, and be surrounded by my folks and have my own little world and not have to deal with the bullshit that I would have to deal with just going to work or anything else. It's just something personal, it's community, and that's what really helps in life. It really does. And and I've gone through like a very
We're not
like it's been quite a transition throughout my years with Brooklyn Boyhood, and every time I just feel better and better, and just feel, you know, who I was meant to be, and like who it's been good. So that's why I'm for Brooklyn Boyhood and people like me.
Mainly I identify as Ryan. I'm starting to move in that direction because I be feeling like I'm a lot of different places depending on the day.
Sure.
So I'm Jackie. I identify as Jackie. She.
PGPs in this?
I mean, yeah. I mean, really, like Ryan said, I feel like a lot of different ways too. I take on. I just not even take on. I just feel comfortable in a lot of different ways and a lot of different things. So just me.
Right. Sebastian, I identify as boy as well, or male.
So Brooklyn Boyhood is a collective organization, and we work to promote visibility and empowerment to boys of color. So queer and trans folks, femboys, AGs, doms, however you identify on the spectrum. We try to represent and just incite dialogue around the issues that we deal with, and build community, kinship. And what I feel like we mean to Brooklyn, I mean, the Brooklyn scene is bursting with culture, and you know, it always has been, and I feel like we just kind of try to, you know, harness the momentum of the movement that's happening around us, and just like really center all the people that we feel like we identify with, that don't necessarily get voices in the world in a particular way. A large part of what we do is try to create space, whether that be physical space, digital space, you know, smaller gatherings or whatever, but we really try to just like responsibly hold like really safe spaces that are like reaching people in a way that, you know,